This is gonna be an interesting video. Okay, let me explain while my cat tries to escape. He's gonna sit there. Hello and welcome to my room, and I'm just gonna go through kind of the process I went through with this project, and everything that I have been doing for the past 3 months, because it's been a lot. I've done a lot, and I've definitely learned a lot, and I kind of just want to explain that, because due to circumstances that you'll see, I wasn't able to get the final result that I wanted, so this is just going to be kind of process, which kind of works because process is still really important to me. It's a lot of fun, as much as I really enjoy this for a final outcome. A lot of my projects I really like just because of the actual process and working through different problems. And I think I'm just still working through those problems right now. So, first off, let's go with the plan. The plan for this one was, I'm still really into Greek mythology and costuming. I wanted to create 3 different characters from Ovid's Metamorphosis, because last semester I did the Iliad, and I feel like with Metamorphosis I could get a lot more creative with the costumes, and I really wanted to push myself on the design part of it, so I really spent longer than I usually do for a project just sketching and sitting down and designing, which I think really helped with the final effect. It made them all more cohesive to have kind of a theme, and it's a bit more personal, and they look more visually interesting. So I'm really glad that I was pushed to rework some of the sketches. It did end up with being more time consuming, but I think it's for the better. Time management was really important with this. I wanted to get what I thought would be the most time-consuming stuff out of the way first, so I wouldn't be crunched for time at the end. So I first started with Icarus's wings, because I felt that would be the hardest to get functional. So it also started with kind of learning the woodshop, which is something I haven't touched since like middle school. Working with wood is kind of nice. It fits together pretty well. It's just about measuring. The wings, I was following a guide, and tweaked a little bit for stuff that I felt wasn't necessarily needed, and there was some things that I just didn't need that the guide needed, so there's a guide that I loosely followed. Yeah, it just works with 2 pulleys that are pulling up 2 parts of the bottom wings, and they go up and down. I needed to cut those out, stain them, assemble them. That'll took, I think, about a week. A couple days in the woodshop at least, like 3 full days in the woodshop, I think, over the span of a week. Once the wood was finished, it was finalizing the fabric that went in between them. I used a canvas that I wanted to try and stain and dye, and burn some holes in it. So those are like burn holes I had to be very cautious of. I did burn a lighter in this process. But yeah, and then it was just cutting the shapes out that I needed and stapling them. I had to get someone to help me with the stapler. A lot of this was my friends and everyone like helping me out, which was really great. The best part of doing stuff like this, I think, is getting help from everyone around you. Everyone's been so great. It's been wonderful. Yeah, I honestly, none of this could have happened without them. I am thankful to my friends for this. Absolutely, for supporting me and helping me in everything they do. But, so I had to get help using a stapler into the wood because I'm just not strong enough. I have physical limits, it seems. In between of that was dyeing Icarus's dress, which is just a marigold. It's a linen marigold, cutting it up, sewing it, attaching fake gear buttons to it. I was really inspired by Cuckoo Clock Heart for Icarus's costume, kind of steampunk, and also like leather harnesses and kind of leather gear. In a perfect world, all the leather on Icarus's would have been like real leather, because that is something I do care about just for durability-wise and look-wise. But I just don't have the money and time to learn leatherworking and to buy leather at this moment, so it's fake cheap leather that I painted over. Got some leg harnesses, straps, and a belt bag as well. I really wanted to lean into him being Daedalus's kid a bit more than just like some arrogant kid who flew up into the air. So like I wanted to lean into him being more Daedalus, like the inventor's kid. He helps around like in the workshop a bit. He has probably like tools and gears and stuff on him as well. I also wanted it not to be the typical feathers that you see on Icarus. Not only is that kind of tedious and time consuming, but I feel like it's just overdone. I wanted it to look like it was man-made and not just like an extension of him, because they're fake wings, so it was also really inspired by like Da Vinci's wings and stuff. There wasn't a lot of challenges for Icarus, honestly. Icarus, I think, actually went fairly smooth. A thing that helped with that was the model that I had, my friend that was playing Icarus, is really easy accessible to me. They're in the school and they're in the same city as me. My other two models are out of town, and so I didn't get to try things on as I worked on them with them. But Icarus turned out really well. The only thing that had to be changed after like some tweaking was adding like a skirt to cover certain parts. Really satisfied with that one. And people always ask how light the wings are. They're light. They're lighter than like a backpack with a laptop in it. They're good. Yeah, next up I went back to the woodshop and we started working on the Minotaur. I tried to make stilts. Stilts are a challenge, especially when your model has size 13 feet. I think that's what really got me, is the stilts work pretty well for me if I wear them with my shoes on. The only issues that I was really having was the shoe part, like where you put your foot. The stilts are very basic. Construction-wise, that took me like a day and a half, but I kept having to tweak them. The shoes that I chose weren't the best. They're good for overshoes. They're good for me for putting my shoe in, because they're a size 13 water shoe, but they're very stretchy. So if I were to wear them without shoes, they stretch so much that you can't properly lift up the stilt. For my friend who has size 13 feet, when he went to wear them, they just weren't comfortable.
Yeah, so
they were fine enough, they just weren't really comfortable long term. So we tried adding foam. I switched out around the knee pad part to try and add more comfort, instead of like I had a PVC pipe, which is what the guides told me to have, but you really only need some Velcro straps around there, and I'd really like to honestly alter that to be longer Velcro straps and maybe add some padding, a bit more padding around the upper knee part. Yeah, I think a more stable shoe being screwed into the actual thing would have been better, but I couldn't find one with a sole that was easy to screw through, especially in a size 13. It's a rough shoe size to find, but the rest of the Minotaur went fairly well. Got some furs for fairly cheap at Fabricland, and I used a rug for some of the furs. I'm in a weird mix of using fake materials and natural materials. I really like natural dyes and like real leather and real stuff like that. But just cost-wise and for time's sake, like fake furs they're just easier. They're just what was necessary. So that is all fake fur. Yeah, it's multiple different types of fur that I like textured, roughed up a bit, painted over like splotches to kind of break it down. Sewed him some pants to go over top of him and the stilts. His headpiece was what's really interesting. The hat and the horns. The horns, first off, was I started using air dry clay, which I've used air dry clay to make horns before. This is a bit better of a clay that I liked better, and the first time using a wire structure to make that big of a thing. There's a wire structure with like aluminum foil that I then put air dry clay over top of. I didn't love it at first, so I also tried to do some paper mache over top of it, but that turned out even worse and just wasn't suitable. So the horns are the air dry clay that I cut the brim off of a snapback hat, attached the backing to, and then shoved wires through to keep the horns up, taped that up into the hat, and the backing part was sewed onto the hat as well. The back piece I roughly cut out 2 fabric pieces and sewed them together, and then it's just air dry clay that is just glued to the back to make the skeletal appearance. Hopefully this is grippy now and more comfortable. This has a chin strap now, which also hides hair, which is nice, and like ears. So that's fun. I'm debating adding the chains here. I sewed the belt. It's over here, but I sewed the belt, yeah, onto the shirt so that they won't fall, and then I added zippers to the pants, so when you put the stilts on, it like you can put the stilts properly on and then put the pants over top. The Minotaur is definitely the one where I think I've learned the most like problem solving through. There was a lot of problem solving with that, and I think I'm still kind of problem solving the stilts if I ever wanted to actually come up with the final result for this how I wanted. But yeah, and then we had our first try on was a fashion show in which that did not go as hoped as well. I've encountered a lot of problems with this. The main issue with the fashion show was the floor was just slippery, and he just fell. It was really unfortunate and really embarrassing, but at least he didn't get pantsed. He just fell, and everyone was worried about his legs. It was a way to end the fashion show, that's for sure. But yeah, it was just slippery. But moving on from that, I had to alter it again. I made it a bit more comfortable, and I added some better grip on the bottom as well with just like hot glue. Yeah, after that, the Arachne was actually really cheap and easy to make. I don't think I bought anything extra for her. Realistically, I didn't. I used more leftover air dry clay to make the arms, which I think I could have also made with fabric, but I liked the look of air dry clay. I think fabric would have been sturdier, and I might have to remake them that way, because they did end up breaking off as we were recording. The dress is linen that I had previously used that I just re-dyed purple, and I tried to do a nice gradient. I'm really pleased with how that looked. It looked really nice. The arms were the trickiest part of Arachne for sure. They are sewed onto the side of her dress and then very loosely held up with string. I feel like, again, fabric would have been a little bit better because they did keep falling off. Her hands are leggings that I sewed the fingers up. I sewed the feet into fingers and then cut the crotch out to wear as like a shirt. And then the arms were then attached to that as well. And the arms were dyed in a gradient with just some Rit dye, as they are nylon. The mandibles and also the Minotaur's nose are both also air dry clay that are just eyelash glued on, and it held like really well. And Arachne's Shibari, I'd never done Shibari before, so I had to get a different friend's help with kind of just basic figuring out how my design is actually going to look. and I think it looked really well, final result, and again, I'm glad to have been learning more skills, being taught by friends as well throughout this entire process. But yeah, and then it was time to pack all this up and head down to our filming location, which was in another city. I had planned for it to be outdoor because I knew that there was an outdoor theater that I would have access to, and also at the time that I was planning this, it was starting to warm up, and then a week before it got really cold again. But we had already made plans, and I had booked a rental car to head out there, so that's just what had to happen. We're getting the car packed and ready to go. It is snowing. This is a decision. Should we keep the camera not by the stilts? No, it's fine. We're in the car. I also, a couple days before we headed out, I was writing the script. So most of the actual quotes of the play that you will eventually see is written by like Ovid. They're Ovid's words, at least this translation. But in the style of Mary Zimmerman's play. So I tried to write my own script of that. I'm not much of a writer, so that was also a learning thing, and figuring stuff out with people who write. Yeah, we headed off. I had scripts printed out for everyone. Yeah, we used my friend's house to get ready. I'm very thankful that they were able to do that. Had a lot of fun. It was a great time. Honestly, the filming was a fun experience with my friends that I don't often get to see. I don't know if it's picking up the sonic, but we've arrived. We've arrived at the place, and we're getting ready.
Time to get ready.
Yeah, we gotta fix some stuff with the Arachne costume. It's just a little long.
Just a little. Just a little. Shit. Fuck you.
Hi.
Anyway, so we're all dressed except
we're all
for,
dressed
for
except
Dawson.
Vlog.
This is the Minotaur.
Minotaur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Hey guys, we're hanging out.
Hey guys, we're hanging out.
Hey guys,
we
we're
both
hanging
have
out.
hair and a thing on our head.
Mhm.
That's how you be friends or something. That's what songs.
And it went fairly well, honestly. On the filming side of it, I thought everyone was acting great. I had a mic we recorded everyone's lines while we were reading the script, so I had that audio, and then we did a couple run-throughs of it, and we headed out to the stage. We had to get the Minotaur ready at the stage, just because of his costume. It's fairly easy to throw on, and the stilts they just have to be. I didn't realize how cold it would feel. It was only about -2, maybe -4, but when you're outside for that long and you're wearing not a winter coat, it's freezing. We did have blankets. Everyone brought blankets and big coats, so we were huddled backstage for most of it in blankets. We have made it to the location.
Hey.
Yeah.
The rest is still the sweater song. Hey.
Yeah.
The rest is still the sweater song.
Okay, folks, he's going.
He's going, folks.
Mm-hmm. I also, the night before, had to try and find a costume for narrator, because that was a character that I needed for storytelling purposes, as well as Minerva. which I don't think I actually have any footage of. Because filming day went great, we figured out that I could split it into 4 different acts, 4 different scenes, and film each of those separately, mainly because of the Minotaur stilts being kind of uncomfortable and cumbersome. So we tried to get Minotaur scenes as few as possible so he's not standing waiting around. We'd record the audio with our scripts, because I had a mic that I could pick up the audio with, and then we recorded for video while someone else read the script, because I didn't give everyone time to memorize the script as well as myself. I had planned to just splice it that way, so I would have audio kind of lining up with video as well as I could. Worked great. The only thing I didn't consider was that I should probably be checking on the camera every once in a while. It's one of those things where time just flies, and before you know it, it was 2.5 hours later, and we were done filming, and I only checked the camera once during that, and it was before our final scene, and by that time, people were already half out of their costumes, and we were heading out, and we're like, okay, yep, we're done, let's go. So as soon as we were done that scene, we packed up and we left because it was freezing. Yeah, filming went great. It was a really fun time. I think everyone's performances was good. It was great. Sadly, you won't be able to see those right now because on our drive home, we were looking through the film. I was driving. I wasn't looking at the film, but looking through the film and realized the camera stops recording at about a 30-minute mark. So we have 30 minutes of us setting up, and then about 12 minutes of the last scene that we recorded. So we kind of forgot to check the camera and didn't get most of the scenes. I do have some videos of everyone in their costumes as well as some photos that look really good, but before we started filming, but I don't actually have any of the scenes. Really quick, I'm gonna go over each of the costumes. So first I have Minotaur. He's got wooden stilts on with pants covering. These are sewn on and glued on. We've got handcuffs, more fur, another fur as well in the back. And all of that is like air dry clay and stuff. He's got a little nose, that's funny, and a collar. That's the Minotaur. We have Arachne as well, with air dry clay mandibles, logwood dyed linen, some rope, arms that are also there, and then a crocheted shawl. We do a 360 here. Beauty. And Icarus, wings that are fully workable. We've got pulleys in the back. Yeah, it's just pulleys, marigold and cochineal dyed linen, leather straps, bags, and some goggles. Hello everyone, we're back in the car. It's very cold out. It's 5:30 now. We got here at 3, I think. So we were only outside for 2.5 hours, which is a fair amount of time when it's this cold. But we're done filming, and we're gonna hope everything worked well. Some things broke, but that was off camera, so it's okay. And just minor things. Whew. Yep, it's home time now. What are your thoughts on the day?
It was a little bit cold.
It
was a little bit cold, guys. Guys, it was a little bit cold. It was a little bit cold.
It was pretty good. Can you point just towards this guy for a second and just
It went. It was a time.
We love you to bits. I think I don't know if there are many things that you put people through to test how much they love you.
That was one of them. That was one of them.
You learned a lot about us, I think.
I'm glad I have friends that will let me do this.
Yay! Friendship
Win for
test.
friendship.
This is a win for friendship.
This is friendship moment. Everyone put your fists together for friendship. Hip hip friendship. Yeah!
Okay, thank you. About 9:30 p.m. we were back in town. We're almost at the school, and it was snowing at this point now. and the rental car does not have good tires. And I was coming down the hill to the school, and I slipped on ice, and I lost control, and I ran into a curb, and bent the tire axle on the car, and was unable to drive it the rest of the way. This is maybe the worst day. So, driving back, on the way back, we learned the camera stopped recording about half an hour into our 2.5 hour filming thing, so we only got maybe 2 out of 4 scenes. 400 meters away from dropping things back off at the school, slipped on some ice and crashed the rental car. So now we're here! I don't like this car. No. I don't like this car! This is my least day. I'm not getting this car! I functionally crashed a car for this. Was it worth it? Maybe not that, but it's what happened. Some cops pulled up and asked if we were okay. We're like, I think so. We are okay. No one got injured. Started talking to some construction guy that was in the area that apparently had seen the crash, and that was the second one that had happened that day in that same spot, which makes me feel a little bit better, but I still feel terrible about it. Tow truck finally came at about 12 to 12:30, I think, when they originally told us it was going to be an hour. You know how it is. Car got towed, and now here I am with about a quarter of what I want recorded. So I hope you've enjoyed this process, but this has turned into a story all on its own. I wanted to tell a story of Greek transformations, and I've told you a tragedy, a tale of woe. But yeah, I'll show you what I did manage to get recorded. Thank you.
In creating the monster and locked both of us in a tower in his maze.
The king may block my way by land or across the ocean, but by sky surely is open. And that is how we shall go. Minotaur may possess all the rest, but he does not possess the air. I shall make a science never explored before and alter the laws of nature.
I saw him sewing threads and feathers and shepherd's reeds together, coated in wax, to look like birds' wings. I stood beside him, not knowing that the materials he was handling were to endanger my life. I started poking the wax and figuring the feathers.
Son, stop your foolishness. These feathers and wax are precious and not to be meddled with your thumbs or plucked off. Come, it is done. I warn you, Icarus. You must follow a course midway between earth and heaven, in case the sun should scorch your feathers if you go too high, or the water make them heavy if you are too low. Pay no attention to the stars, or Hellas, or Orion with his drawn sword. Take me as your guide, and follow me. Icarus quickly lost his guide and became eager for the open sky. He soared upwards, till he came too close to the blazing sun, and softened the sweet-smelling wax that bound his wings together. The wax melted, Icarus moved his arms up and down, but without their feathers they had no purchase on the air.
Father!
He was swallowed up by the blue ocean. Icarus! Icarus, where are you? Where am I to look for you? All that was left was feathers in the ocean. Wow, my son.
We're going to see my gay little run.